aki wā. Ngā iwi e, kia kotaina, te moana nui aki wā. Kia mara, ki te mana motu ake me te aroha. Kia mara, ki te mana motu ake me te aroha.
But here in New Zealand, the issues of Māori land and language are still bubbling.
Land is life. Without it, man dies, and this country and all over the world, most of the problems are over land. Looking at New Zealand, sure, us has lost that spiritual tie. I've got to admit that some of my people now, with the individualization of titles, sell land. But to many of us, land is still a spiritual base. That is where I belong. That is where I come from. That is where I return.
Eva Rickard is the main figure in the fight over the Raglan golf course.
I believe that the land was taken by the government, not for the purpose they took it for, but for speculation after war. They really didn't use it for an aerodrome. The land is important because it is the only tūranga wawa the Tainui Aotearoa people have got left. We have no lands in Raglan. Most of our lands are going under reservations in the new district schemes. And to us it is important spiritually, culturally, and the mana of my people rests on this piece of land that we have been struggling to retain for the last 20 years, 1962 when we started.
The area they want back, the area covered by the golf course, is an area of 63 acres.
If it was handed back to us, we will try and re-establish our cultural village, and we were talking about a learning centre, like a wharewananga, a house of learning on the land, and the young people want to turn it into a recreational area for the whole of the people here. And the other thing, of course, is town and country planning could restrict the use of the land, but we have asked for a Māori community purposes zone to be put on that land so we can extend whatever development we want. It will not be developed as development of a high standard. It would be probably turned back into a cultural centre like it was before.
And this centre would be open to Pākehās as well as to Māoris?
Because we're here together, whether we like it or not, eh? You're here and I'm here, so we've either got to try and understand each other, because I can understand you, but I don't know whether Pākehās have taken much notice of our cultural values, and I know we have been criticised even in the planning tribunal. So I thought that that gentleman, with the power that he has vested in him, should start looking at why Māoris are doing the things that we're doing right now, you know, why we are opposing the system that oppressed us, as we think.
If you don't get the land back, what will you do?
Well, I'll go to the court of public opinion in this country, and I will call all my Māori people and the sympathetic Pākehā people to come and occupy my land. I will take it over. So, come what may, if they turn the whole police force or the army on us, well, we'll die happily, because we believe we have a just cause. The Raglan golf course issue is one that this country should be ashamed of, and the government should be ashamed of. But the vesting back of the land is something that the government is reluctant to do. My fight and my people's fight was against the government, not against anyone else. But we were drawn by circumstances into a situation where racism, bigotry, and everything else came up, and there was a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. And I think the government owes my people, and if we don't get our land back, well, we'll take it back, but I do believe that the government owes us compensation for the loss of use. They have spent over $500,000 on the golfers, re-establishing a new golf course. I think in about 2 years' time they will complete it, and then what will the Māoris have? We might get our land back, and we might not. We've got 1.2 million, as you probably know, out of the 66 million acres. The Crown has in reservations, I believe, 20 million acres. They have got unproductive lands, and yet they concentrate on the little Māori lands that are left. So, you know, loss of land is loss of life to us, and I do believe in the years ahead, Māoris must go back to their land, to cultivate their lands, grow food, to survive in the economy that we have.
Eva Rickard feels that the government should go further and pay compensation for land that can be proved to have been illegally taken.
Or better still, I would like a land-for-land basis. The returns, you know, if they can't give us back the lands that they've taken, like Taonga, like other places right throughout this country, surely they should compensate them with land instead of, 250,000 to the Taonga lot for how many thousands and thousands of acres of land. I would rather say that they should compensate us if they cannot return our lands, a land-for-land basis. That's the only deal they should accept. This is what I am saying. This is my opinion. Some of them might want money. And Te Matakite Aotearoa, of whom I am president, has always maintained that we don't take money for the lands that have been taken off us. We ask for land back. And this was King Tāwhia's dream as well, that we shouldn't take money for our lands. If they take it and they've used it, we can't ever get most of our lands back, but there are government lands that should be handed back to our people. To me, there is enough land, tribal lands, for the whole of Māoridom to survive on. But if they keep on giving them to the forestry for 99-year leases, they will not survive on those lands, will they? What I'm talking about is food, clothing, and a chance to live together and to get back in harmony with one another, to try and sit and start understanding each other. We've lost our family unit through urban drift, and I do believe the land is the only thing that's going to bring our people back together. When I talk about the Raglan struggle, it was through the tribes coming to Raglan to help us, through the Arawas and the Ngāpuris. You know, we fought wars, they said, a long time ago. But when it came to land, there is a common bond between Māoris of all tribes. It's very much a unifying issue because it succeeded too. Because land to our old people was their mana. They clung to it and they guarded it so jealously and they died. And most of the children did not know that their grandparents or their parents owned land in certain blocks. If you ask a Māori without land, ask him how he feels, he would probably find, he would say, I am nothing, I am just drifting. I am like the birds without feathers.
Tom Poa.
I make no bones about it. I am a fighter. I am not a protester. I'm a fighter for the cause of my people's freedom.
A koa nā whakahētana, he nui nā wahine Māori whai mana, kua tū ki te whai kōrero. I kōrero mātou kia Angeline Greensill, te tamahine a Eva Rickard. I mōhiotia tōna māma mo te tū ki te whai kōrero, me tana ārahi te tohe whenua, ki Whaingaroa.
All this Ngāti Hoturoa's burial ground, all this area, and it's a very ancient burial ground. So I said to her, when I die, I want to be buried here. What did you tell me, Granny? She said, yes, they'll use you for playing golf on, and she says, and I don't think that's very nice.
Unfortunately, I've ended up in her shadow. She took me around with her from the age I was about 27, I think, meeting all those people, like Nāniku and all of them, going to Bastion Point, going to the Springboks tour, going down to Pākaitora, going all over the place, just tailing her or driving her, to meet people who were really committed to making our world a better space and holding on to what we have or what we're supposed to have. When she got arrested, that completely changed my mother's life.
But the saddest part for me was my people were all drunk at the golf club house and was clapping. When I got arrested, they were out there clapping.
You are being instructed to leave the golf course.
You know, she got arrested for trespass on our own urupa for no reason. In her view, she said, next time I get arrested, I'll take someone with me. I'll make it worth your while. I can remember her saying that when she got arrested, because we were just having a church service. We had 12 tohunga there to do a blessing, and the police arrived. So that's how young he was when he was greeting. The first one arrested was my mother by these policewomen, they broke her wrists. And she was, at the time, she used to do a lot of typing on a typewriter. There weren't computers, typing letters to government and that. So her wrists, she never ever recovered from that, her wrists. So from that point on, the direction of her life became highly political.
I mahuta a Eva Rickard hei kai tūtohe mona whenua Māori, a I whawhai ia kia whai reo, nā wahine Māori. I kia Angeline I muri I tana tū tuatahi ki te marae, ki hai a Eva Rickard I noho puku anō.
I can remember her going to a paukai, and Helen Clark was there. And Helen Clark was invited to speak. And my mother thought, okay, this is my marae. I'm from here, I whakapapa to here. It's one of the ones up Waikato River. And yet she's allowed to speak. She's Pākehā, I'm Māori. I'm not going to have this. So she challenged them. And at the one on the paipai was Dr. Henare Tufangai, one of the main speakers for Te Ata. And so she challenged them, why is it she allowed to speak? And she was standing for mana motu hake. It was for political, people bringing their message out. So Helen was allowed to speak, so my mother stood up. Oh, yeah, kōtiro, you can speak. So she stood up and she spoke. And then she turned around to Henare Tufangai and she said, an old man, if you can change the kaua just like that, I will never sit down again.
Tainua ki tōna tanihana I akiaki a Eva Rickard I te huna wahine, ki te tū ki te whai kōrero.
It was interesting because I was by my mother most of the time. And there were no women speakers. And I thought this is so bad because my mother was a speaker who would expect some women to at least speak here. There are no tapu-tapus here. Women have always spoken here. And she made sure that that rule was put down there. When Annette came to speak, I was pleased because her and my mother were quite close. Obviously, no one else would do it. It takes courage to stand up at a huge tangi like that. Tuku Morgan had just brought in the Prime Minister, Helen Clark, and I think he was about to speak when the women turned up in force. And my uncle stood up, and my father also stood up and said, when they have finished, you can speak to Annette.
Ia tātou ka whakarono ki e nei kōrero nā o tātou mā reikura puta noa I te motu, e māramāna nā rere kētana. Ia tātou tikana.
Many Māori people in cities suffer a loss of contact with Māori culture and have called for a return to the land. Although most of the land they once held has been taken away, there have been recent struggles to win back tribal land. Tuaiwa Rickard was one of the women involved in a successful bid to reclaim Māori land in Raglan. She has a vision of building a house of learning here, where Māori people can get back in touch with their heritage, and where women in rural areas need no longer be tied to the home.
In Raglan we have managed to hold on to some of our land, and we have regained some. And here we would build our wharewananga as a university of learning for our Māori people. The truth of Māoritanga has been taught for so long in the universities by other professors that has not the real knowledge. So here we would teach our young people to lead our race.
Were the angry years. They were the angry years of the 70s. It was the time when our people were marching for justice.
Eva Rickard had been at the centre of a struggle for the return of land on which the Raglan Golf Course stood. This land was in a tribal area where more than 1 million acres of land had been confiscated after the land wars, and where today unemployment and its associated social costs are high. Eva attributes the plight of her people today directly to the loss of their land.
It was only when I grew up when I started to think about what has my people lost? Why are they like this? Why have they given up hope? And it was loss of land. That was the basis of their decline in mana and in hope. And you cannot get back land that's been sold, but you can get back land that's been stolen. I was 15 when this land was confiscated for the war effort, and my mother used to make us feed all the workers. And I look back at the way my people treated all the workers there. They treated them as whānau because of the threat of war. It says you can borrow our land, and at the end of it, you give it back. And that's what did not happen. We were taught from birth that the land is our mother, and this land provided us a living. There were 2 farms on this land. And when I looked at my people struggling for a living, and in the war years, in the depression years, the marae was full of Pākehās because our people had big gardens. And I looked at it, and I thought I was bloody angry. Their deceit. And that's the first time I came across racism and bigotry. And I have to say anything, this country has a lot of racist people in it. And I've met them.
One of Eva's greatest companions and supporters during her struggle was her grandmother, Herepo Rongo.
He says, my children will not have any place to go if this land did not come back. Herepo was one of those, that unseen power, even though she died before the land came back, and she will always be remembered. But she was the living witness to those that had passed on before her. And this is Hawaīki. There's the old dear Herepo. She never ever saw the victory of our struggles. When you've got the old people, you know you have strength from the other side. You know they only know 2 things in life, right and wrong. And they've lived with this for years. And my support came from that old lady. She was always there, and she knew the truth. She was the only living witness from the time the land was taken. I believe that until the Māori people are free, until they become a sovereign nation, they are already promised a sovereign nation, they are sovereign. And of course, this is the word that the parliamentarians don't like, sovereignty. They're going to get it, and we are going to get our sovereignty. We are going to take it.
Stand up with the First Nations and our people that been living here for thousands of years. Stand up. We've been fighting for our freedom since the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria. Stand up. Like Geronimo, Sitting Bull, Red Cloud, Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier. Stand up. Now they poisoning the waters for our sons and our daughters, so we on the frontier. We won. One nation, one cause, one people, one tribe. Now it's us against the pipeline. Get on your feet for Standing Rock, and we'll show you how strong we could be when we unify.
To all my native people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my tribal people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. To all my native people, to all the original people, to all my indigenous people, recognize yourself, keep your head up. Stand up, 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 stand up.
From the beginning we was winning this game on planet Earth. It's been spinning, we've been living and dying, but giving birth, the first of many nations, celebrating them days when all that got made came after what God made. These days we cater to these internet memes, internet streams. It seems them streams aren't clean. We need the whole story seen, where hassling before water has gasoline in it. Malcolm X moment. Martin Luther King with a dream and war boning. Wounded knee plus Alcatraz, doggone it. This is for the rock, with prayers we stand on it.
Oh yeah, we playing on it, the earth we camp on it. In a sweat lodge singing our songs with grandfathers. Heat rocks all in the spot, we splash on them with a beatbox from my boy, we jam on it. Said a prayer for the black snake killers. Train on the front lines, they you're the realest. Stand for your people, stand for your family. Stand with Standing Rock, stand for humanity. Hey.
We should really talk about equality and healing the nation. We should talk about the things that are going to help us into the year 2000. No more negative thoughts.
Waka of Tainui, Puna and Hani.